Rigor is creating an environment in which each student is expected to learn at high levels, each student is supported so he or she can learn at high levels, and each student demonstrates learning at high levels. Now let's go back and break that apart. One of the critical words is each, because this is about each student you teach. It's not about just gifted students. It's not about just honor students. Each student you teach is capable of working at a rigorous level. So now let's break down the definition a little more. The first part is that each student is expected to learn at high levels. What does that look like in the classroom? Well, first, a good indicator of high expectations is your language. For example, I was in the classroom a couple of weeks ago and a student raised his hand needing help, and the teacher walked over and said, "This is the 15th time in the last 2 weeks you've needed help." And that's very negative in terms of showing high expectations. The flip side of that would be to go over and say, "I know you can do this. You've done this first part before. Go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back to check on you and you'll move on to the second part." So there's a real difference in terms of the language we use that demonstrates that we believe each student can learn. Now the second part of the definition is that each student is supported so he or she can learn at high levels. And one of the myths that is out there about rigor is that providing extra support is not rigorous. But the reality is, anytime someone moves to a higher level of learning, they need support with that. That is true for us as adults. It is true for students. Support can be provided in a variety of ways. For example, modeling what you expect students to do is an easy way to integrate support and scaffolding within your lesson. Providing graphic organizers that allow students to chunk their thinking into different sections so that then they can put that together is another key way to provide support and scaffolding. The final way that I would suggest is that you really ask students what they think a project should look like or what an assignment should look like, and then work from that as a base and explain what you're looking for so that students understand what you are looking for in an assignment so they truly can do their best work. The final part of the definition is that each student demonstrates learning at a high level. And there's several different pieces we could talk about with that. What does good assessment look like? Those kinds of pieces. But the part I want to focus on right now is that each student demonstrates learning. One of the things that I did as a teacher, because it was what I had seen modeled to me, was whole group instruction where I called on one student. The reality is that that lets everyone else in the classroom off the hook. And what we want to do in a rigorous classroom is know that throughout the lesson, each student understands what is going on with the lesson. There are a variety of ways of doing that. You can use old-fashioned dry erase boards where students write an answer. If your students have iPads, there's an easy app that provides dry erase boards on the app, and students can even record their thought process. You can use clickers in the classroom. You can use thumbs up, thumbs down. But your goal is to provide each student a way to demonstrate understanding. And that's what rigor is.